bounce back night last night for us in the NBA. 5-1 night. We got the 2-3 unit bets with the Bucks and the Lakers and a bunch of totals. 76ers over. Had a couple of halftimes over in the Hornets game and the Knicks game. Those hit as well. Only loser, Charlotte Hornets, couldn't get it going for us. But big night to get things back on track. And hey, big kudos to Adam Silver. I mean, you want to get more excitement in the regular season. How about one of your best players in the NBA coming for revenge, dropping 64 on the Indiana Pacers, and even some little bit of pushing and shoving after the game. Adam Silver definitely brought more excitement in the regular season. Don't know if we see that version of Giannis without an in-season tournament loss, John.
Yeah, revenge, guys. We talk about it all the time. Revenge game, and man, you saw it even after the game. Fuck, Giannis going into the locker room to get the ball back for his 64-point game. We use trends that count, not what a team's record is on a Tuesday. There's a lot of meaningless stats out there. When we put up a stat, it means something. And this was a double revenge spot for Milwaukee. Giannis came out on a mission, 64 points. Lillard, another subpar shooting game, although I think he took over the all-time record for three-pointers by hitting. Did he? Or just he passed?
Entered in the top 5 now. I think it was.
Okay, so but yeah, another rough game. Remember, 3 for 17 in the game prior to this Giannis team. That's why.
Oh yeah.
I think Giannis was trying to step back a little bit. If you guys remember, a few weeks back, Giannis actually sat out a game, and that's what kind of got Milwaukee going. Lillard had a big game. Beasley had a big game shooting from 3. That's why I like your Batman and your Robin, your Giannis, and Middleton was your Robin, and you fill them out with your Jrue Holidays, and Brook Lopez can knock down a 3. The 2 superstar thing, again, I just don't think it's going to work. We'll see how it goes down in the season. This is Giannis. Giannis has got to come with these heroic 64s when you're going to beat these top-notch teams. Not that Indiana is one. Indiana's going to give people fits. They're going to score $130. You better be able to score if you're going to beat Indiana. Yeah. But they're going to give up a ton of points as exhibited last night by 64 by Giannis. Some great games. Hornets fell a point short or could have been a sweep for us in that game. Lakers, man, they had to make it interesting like that. That was insane. A 20-point lead evaporating, missing free throws at the end. I know some of our guys did not get the 2.5, which sucks. We talk about it all the time. Matter of fact, I think we did this on Instagram last night. We were talking about one of the games that there were 3 different guys answered. One had 7.5 on a game, one had 8, one had 8.5. And that would have been the difference. And that would have been a difference in a game the night before with the Bulls. So, again, having multiple outs, being able to find 2.5 instead of laying the 3, always huge. The more outs you have, guys, every half point counts. We'll talk about this. Look, lost by 0.5 point the other night with the Bulls. Take it 7.5. They lose by 8. Yep. Last night, win by 0.5 point. Some of you guys didn't. Again, got to get out there as soon as we hit it. Again, if you have multiple outs, that much more better of a chance. But, yes, on our way back. It's still a long road to go. We will get there. That's why it's all about beating the numbers. We told you guys yesterday, or I don't know if we told you guys, but I will talk about it when we hit that first game. Why don't we talk about football, though, first tonight, Ben?
Yeah, we can go ahead and dive on in. This is a divisional matchup that's usually pretty entertaining. Some history to it. Some, obviously the last couple of years in fights for playoffs. This one, not as exciting. Getting a couple of backups between the Chargers and the Raiders tonight. I guess Aiden O'Connell's technically QB1 in front of Garoppolo, but nonetheless a rookie. So this is another one of these weird Thursday night primetime games. A couple of inexperienced quarterbacks. O'Connell definitely has that advantage to be getting some starts. We'll see how it pans out tonight. You have the Chargers, who've just been looking brutal lately, coming off that loss to Denver. Herbert goes down. Stick was slinging it a little bit. 179 yards. He was looking pretty decent. Didn't throw a pick, so that's always a good sign when you come in. No interceptions. You don't want the turnovers from your backup QBs. And then you have this Raiders team coming off the most disgusting football game of the NFL season, a 3-0 game in a dome. It wasn't weather related. So, 2 teams here. We'll see what they can come up with tonight. Obviously, a bunch of under trends. Last 3 meetings go under. 5 of the last 6 for the Raiders, and Chargers last 4 went under. Now, granted, the last 3 meetings that they go under, this is typically a matchup where you see, even earlier this year, it's not the same, but you saw totals high up over about 50, 52. Previous years, seeing about 53, 54, with Derek Carr back in Vegas. So it's a bit of a different total tonight, about 20 points less than what we're usually seeing in this matchup. So it's still under nothing, but definitely the books have adjusted for what it is with these two teams tonight. And then I have to be looking at the points with the Chargers. Divisional matchup, getting points, couple of inexperienced QBs. You got to hope that they can show up. I mean, this is a bit of a Brandon Staley, job interview, if you will. I mean, a lot of people are saying that he's out, most likely is. This could be, him trying to either save a spot in the Chargers, even though most likely he's gone. But more importantly, I mean, we see how much credit Daboll's been getting for what he's been able to do with DeVito as a backup. So being a head coach, proving you can get it done with the backup quarterback. This is him submitting his resume to the rest of the NFL, trying to get a coaching job after his stint here with LA, John.
Well, he can't get it done when he's got a full arsenal, and he just does not. Herbert out, as it says, you'll have a backup quarterback, but just as big. Keenan Allen's going to be out. He leads the NFL with 108 receptions, so he's going to be out also. It's a banged-up Charger team. Bosa already out for the last few weeks. Going in against a banged-up Raider team, maybe even a more banged-up Raider team. Raiders will be without a couple of offensive linemen, the center, Moulton out, Jacobs, the running back out, Devontae Adams, illness. They had him listed as questionable. He'll play, but this is a banged-up team. 2 5-8 teams, 2 backup quarterbacks, and I just put it simple. I'm going to take a field goal with the team against the team that didn't score last week. I mean, it's just that simple. Cannot make the Raiders 3 points better than anybody right now, even at home. The Raiders got off to a nice little start under the interim coach Pierce, beating the Jets and Giants, who didn't have quarterbacks at the time. Then came the rest of the real schedule, and they've been getting they got beat up by a Chief team in a spot that we thought was good for the Raiders, and then blanked 0-0 at home. That game wasn't in a dome; it was in Vegas last week, and they get blanked by the Vikings. So here we go, Thursday night, an ugly fest, and we're expecting another low-scoring game. So we took the field goal in this one.
And we're going to have a nice little NBA card going on tonight. If you guys want any of the rest of the NFL information for Saturday and Sunday, you guys know we're not here on the weekends. Make sure you guys sign up on massedge.com or download the app. 12 of the 14 weeks for us in the NFL have been profitable. Looking to go for number 13 this week here. This NBA slate, pretty good slate today. We got Cavs at Boston leading it off. Second of a 2-game set here. Celtics get the win by 7 the other night. Cavs cover the number. Mobley, he missed that game. He's going to stay out in this one. All free throws in that game. Boston, 26 of 26 from the free throw line. Cleveland, 6 of 9. That's a lot of opportunities at the free throw line for some free points. Brown questionable here for the Celtics. Cavs just play this matchup tough, and we talked about it a little bit on the live yesterday as well. Boston, they get Orlando next. As crazy as that is, that the Boston Celtics, the Eastern Conference favorite, is now looking on to maybe a little bit of a look ahead to Orlando. You get the first win here against Cleveland, and Magic's giving them a run for their money the last couple of seasons here.
Look, Magic have beaten the C's 4 of the last 5 meetings, including down in Orlando a couple of weeks ago, and they gave it to him pretty good. Yep. Another game that we were on the Magic in that one.
And that, real quick, that's also that was for the in-season tournament as well. There was a little bit of revenge in that as well.
There sure was. And don't worry about it. Orlando will come with a game tomorrow. Remember, to get into the in-season tournament, Celtics had to run up the score on the Bulls as they were playing the Hacker Drummond up 30. So don't worry, Orlando that'll be in the back of Orlando's mind as they come. So I would call this a total look ahead because Cleveland gives C's fits also. Remember, they took 3 or 4 last year, and I mean that last game, if not for a ridiculous disparity in free throws, 26 for 26, Celtics knocked down against 6 of 9 for the Cavs. They would have had all they had to do to win that game. So Cavs give them a tough time, but maybe one little eye onto the Magic tomorrow. Brown, he's questionable. Maybe you sit him today and play tomorrow. Look, either way, this line came up 11 yesterday. We literally hit this in seconds and sent it out. Whether Brown plays, whether he doesn't play, 11 is the wrong number. This is a 2-game series at Boston. Cleveland will come with their best game tonight, and they'll keep this under double digits.
We have Bulls going on to Miami. Bulls coming off that disgusting loss for us against Denver the other night. No Murray, Jokic ejected, DeRozan, the bad shooting performance. And then you have this Heat team back-to-back. They get it done against the Hornets last night. Couldn't miss from deep, 50% from three. You got Miami 6-4, just 3-7 against the spread at home after covering last night. We talk about that often. They were second worst last year at home, still not getting it done covering numbers. They get it done last night. Can they get it done here on a back-to-back is the question. It has to be a lean to Chicago just with the spot. And the Bulls play them tough as well. They took Bulls regular season meetings in Miami last year. Heat did win in the play-in tournament last season, so maybe a little bit of that. And then as far as over the season, they split 2 meetings in Chicago. So Bulls play them well. The spot is for them. And as disgusting as that loss was for us, for them against the Nuggets, I would hope they would come a little bit of wanting to bounce back from that game tonight.
You would hope so, and you would want to think that DeRozan want to bounce back from a 3 for 13 performance. Mm-hmm. Remember, Levine's still out. Caruso now, he's missed a few games, so you're coming in a little maybe shorthanded. DeRozan, again, same thing. It's a matter of when, not if. They're looking for trade partners. We've talked about this. They're looking for trade partners with Levine. They can't find anybody for Levine that's even looking to take this guy. I don't think they're going to have similar luck with DeRozan. If they're going to get rid of these guys, they're going to eat a lot. They ain't going to get fair market value back, so we'll see. Look, Chicago started to play real well. They had won 4 straight. They go to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee had a little revenge spot against Chicago because Chicago had beat the Bucks in Chicago the last time that the Bucks visited, and Chicago takes the Bucks to overtime in that game. So they played them real tough. They take an L, but they cover. Then just a complete fall down. And I get it was back-to-back off overtime, but Denver was also coming off overtime without Murray. Jokic gets teed out, and KCP leaves the game. KCP is going to also be questionable for Denver tonight. So just a spot that they absolutely they had to cover. If that way, they had to cover that game. They don't get it done. Is that the end of their little streak that they're on? Now they go to Miami. These teams split a 2-game set in Miami. Earlier in the year, Miami jumped up huge. It was another 20-point lead. Chicago came back at the end, catches them to win that game, but then falls flat the next game. I just think this game is where it's supposed to be, right around the 4 number. Josh Richardson missed last night. I believe that was a headache-related situation, so it could be back tonight. Remember, Hero out, Bam out. So once you start getting a little thin on back-to-back, that's why I'm mentioning Josh Richardson in this spot. Bulls are a day off since that Denver loss. 4 is my number on the game. We'll wait to see where that line goes and if there's anything would happen with lineups.
And we're going to have T-Wolves going on to Dallas, Minnesota coming off the loss at New Orleans. They had another one of those crazy free throw disparity games, 14 of 19 for Minnesota, 31 of 40 for the Pelicans. Zion obviously had a big game that night. Minnie playing good ball, 6-1, 4-3 against spread the last 7, just 4-7 ATS on the road, but oftentimes that's laying points. Obviously not laying points in this situation. Dallas, another one of these teams, doesn't cover too much at home. They are coming off a game they covered in a win against the Lakers, and they've been playing pretty solid without Kyrie as well. 5-1 now without Kyrie on the season. How about Luka Doncic playing out of his mind these last few games? I guess now, what was that ESPN post called Daddy Doncic? He had his son, and since having his son, 37.2 points per game, 12.4 assists, absolutely ridiculous. Playing out of his mind. We'll see if he can get it done here against Minnesota. Got to see what's going on with Edwards in this game. And a couple of those rotationary pieces banged up for Dallas. Curry and Jones, both questionable. And we've seen them play well without Kyrie so far. But as the season goes on, as you have more of these guys who aren't used to playing big minutes, how much more can they go before you start to see a little bit of a decline from that?
No, so far, not so much. Luka just getting it done. Put 4 guys out there with Luka, and he'll get it done. Even that, look, they've won their last 4. Big win coming off the Laker game, where Minnie coming off a loss at New Orleans. Just look for a rebound game. Again, injuries. Edwards missed that game in New Orleans. We'll see if they get him back for this game. Also, McDaniels had come back for that game. May have injured the ankle. They got a question mark on him. So we'll wait to see if McDaniels and Edwards are available. If they are, I make the T-Wolves the favorite at Dallas. Yes, Dallas playing great ball, even with Irving out. But Minnesota's playing real good ball. I think they'll come in just a step hungrier. The one game that they played in Dallas, the one time they met in Dallas last year, Timberwolves won that one by 3, and I would make them a small favorite if McDaniels and Edwards are healthy and are playing tonight.
We have Nets at the Nuggets. Nets back-to-back and definitely in a little bit of a letdown spot. They get revenge for Bridges and Johnson to go into Phoenix, get it done. Cam Thomas saw a solid night. They keep covering 7-3 against the spread on the road now. Brooklyn keeps doing that. Nuggets obviously coming off that win against Chicago. You had the ejection, everything else. Murray's supposed to come back tonight. You guys know the story with the Nuggets at home, just absolutely dynamite. And then the matchup history. Nuggets won 3 of the last 4 meetings. Brooklyn did get them last year in Denver. Maybe a little bit of home revenge from that. We'll see how much it's on their mind. Either way, just a spot in this game. Can't want Brooklyn. It's such a letdown. Going to be interested to see how much Denver gets up for this. But has to be Nuggets or nothing.
Yeah, it's not only back-to-back. It's back-to-back 3rd and 4. Remember, they start the trip in Sacramento. Day off, go to Phoenix. Now go with Denver. For the guys that don't know, you're going up to, they call it the Mile High City. It's tough enough to play there without being on a back-to-back. You come in on that late flight after a late game on the West Coast, and now you got to come back-to-back 3rd and 4. Real rough spot for Brooklyn, who, again, you're talking about Bridges and Johnson getting that revenge over the old team at Phoenix. So now they're going in a tough spot. As I mentioned prior, KCP, he's going to miss this game. He left the last game. He'll be out. Everybody should be back. Murray should be back. Murray sat the last game. That's more precautionary in the second half of back-to-backs, which has been accustomed to most of the guys that are injury-prone. I'm right this line to me with KCP out, given the situation that the Nets are in, 9.5's the right number. Nothing else to talk about.
And we have Thunder at Sacramento. Thunder get it done against Utah the other night. NBA best 7-3, 7-2-1 against the spread. Kings are 7-3, 5-5 against the spread at home, and they just got roughed up by the Clippers the other night. Kings just own this matchup, and that's really what this comes down to for me. As good as OKC is on the road, Kings 10-1, 8-3 against the spread last 11 meetings, 6 straight in Sacramento. And sometimes it's a little bit deeper than that. Sabonis, drafted by OKC, ended up being traded by OKC. So maybe a little bit of that with it too, as far as when one of your star players has a reason and a matchup ownership to show up. So it has to be Kings or nobody. OKC's playing phenomenal basketball right now, and tough to go against them. One of the top teams against the spread in the NBA, but can't break this ownership trend.
It's an ownership trend, and Sack will look to bounce back after that terrible tax. Sack got us 2 nights in a row. We went against Sack on Brooklyn's first stop. Just thought that number was too big. They go shoot 56% from 3. We go against them the next night, and they come with a 27% from 3. So they got us 2 nights in a row. You're not going to fool me the 3rd time, Sack. I'm going to lay off this game. They run. They own this matchup. As Ben said, 10-1. 8-3 against the spread. But OKC has been really good on the road. But I will say, Sack should be looking to bounce back from that terrible loss. But just OKC Thunder playing real good, 4-1 their last 5. Don't want to bet against them here. My number here is 2.5. So I lean towards Sack that line at the present time. We're shooting this podcast, 11:42 a.m. Eastern. The number right now is sitting at 1.5. Just not enough of a room. If this game was to go to pick, I'd be all over Sack, but unless it goes down a little bit more, I wouldn't be interested. Not enough room unless a late injury pops up. The one injury OKC had last game, Lou Dort, he missed. He'll be back for this one.
This next game, one of my favorite spots of the NBA season. Jazz back-to-back. They get it done against the Knicks. Markkanen comes back. He's going to be rested tonight, so going to be without him. George, he's not on the trip. You have Clarkson. He remains out still, so a very short-handed Utah team coming into Portland. Last time they met was in Utah, and they lost. Blazers lost that game in overtime. So overtime revenge, coming back home. They have the rest. Jazz in a horrible spot, shorthanded. And they're the worst road team in the NBA. 111, 2-9-1 against the spread. Portland's got them the last couple of times they've met in Portland. You do have injuries on the Blazers side. Brogdon, Ayton, both questionable. Grant's still going to remain out. How about Anthony Simons? 3 games back. He's been terrific in all 3, averaging 34 the last 2 of them. As long as he's in there and we can get one of those guys, preferably Ayton, have a little bit of size there, got to be a spot here for the Blazers. Just such a good, checks all the boxes.
All the boxes. Overnight, they decided that Markkanen would be rested tonight, that George, who left the game last night, wouldn't even accompany them on the trip. So he's out not only tonight, but the next game also. Collins has been ill. He didn't play the last couple of games. If he's still ill, you're probably not going to bring him on a plane with you either. So we're talking about a real super shorthanded team. But again, who's Portland going to have is going to be Simons in a few games unless they get Brogdon and Ayton back. We'll wait to see with them. But, yeah, Portland are nobody. Terrible spot. Utah comes off a big win over the Knicks, and they're back-to-back. And they're also 3rd and 4th. Started in OKC, had a day off, go home, beat the Knicks, and now travel to Portland. Portland and nobody in this one. If Portland gets a couple of guys back, would even be willing to lay the higher number here.
And we have Warriors going on to the Clippers. A lot of fun matchup history here. You have the
Draymond Green-less Warriors.
Yeah, you guys, that indefinite suspension. If anyone needs a good laugh, just think about Draymond Green sitting in counseling, his mandatory counseling with that dumb look on his face. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that, but
the most hysterical thing I saw today, was that reel I posted or reposted in our story on Instagram. I guess they made him like a 2K character, and they're showing him doing like all the moves he's done and then embellishing on it with other wrestling moves. And it's not just far from the truth. Really what he did, just to weigh in one more time. And as I do that, I can tell you right now, Ben, actually they're moving on Sacramento, going to -2 as we speak. But really, just there's no place for what this guy's doing in the NBA. No. I could see an elbow. Things get a little heated here and there. When a guy's down and you step on him, when you got somebody in actual chokehold, when you literally take a full swing, these are different things. You get the ball in your hand and you're doing elbows to create space. That's part of the game. Guys get hit in the nose. What he's done and done repeatedly, and that's what he deserves. To be suspended indefinitely, and that's the situation. I had called for a 10 game, being that the last one was 5, with the threat of 20 being the next infraction. But this is even better. This is Adam Silver going, give me a hand. You better be a good boy, and you're not going to play again until you're a good boy. So good. Fuck Draymond Green and his fucking thug tactics. And now let's see what Golden State can do. Not only without him, but what a dejected bench. Klay Thompson saying, yes, the coach had the right to bench me. Go ahead, Ben. Why don't you pick up the preview from there? We'll talk more about it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm interested to see, just because how is Steve Kerr going about this? I mean, at what point do you make the official change? One thing to do it in-game and eventually make the adjustment, but in this last game, Draymond gets suspended. Wiggins, Looney, and Klay, they all get benched. They were combined -28. The bench scored 80 points on 60%. They were a +43. CP3 and Steph Curry are running with that unit, and CP3 dishing out dimes left and right. He had 11 assists. Gotta just wonder what's going on in Steve Kerr's head about how to handle that. Wiggins is averaging career lows across the board. So the one guy who's still age-wise in his prime of this dynasty that's left, he's the one that's playing the worst. So it's difficult to see. I don't know what you do with Steve Kerr.
Has it been the same since his best friend banged his girl? That's what a girl could do to you. Was it the same when he came back last year? Not the same this year. Klay, the downfall is there. Draymond's been a disaster. No. This is a team in decline. And look, Steph Curry, I'm not going to compare him yet to what LeBron's doing because he's still got some years to get there. LeBron's just playing out of his mind for his age. Again, I'm not a LeBron lover. I'm not a LeBron hater. I just say it how it is. Yeah. But Steph, again, what he's doing at his age, again, phenomenal. And he's just getting no help from the rest of the Warriors. Might be time to let that bench mob become the starting unit.
Yeah, I think it was Nick Wright. I mean, he's a big-time LeBron guy, but his take was what LeBron's doing is so crazy right now that it just diminishes what we see that Curry and KD are doing. KD's averaging a career-high 50% from 3, and him and Steph Curry still playing phenomenal for their age, but just because LeBron's so old doing it, it just kind of is like, oh, yeah, they're 35 still. Who cares? But yeah, those guys both playing well at high age. Home teams dominated this matchup. Last time they were in LA, Warriors up 20 plus. Clippers come all the way back. They didn't lead the entire game. They took a lead with 8 seconds to go. They win that one by 1. That's the only one a road team has covered. I just don't know what Steve Kerr is playing tonight. I got to see this. This is a game to look at halftime. How much is he trusting the bench? How much is he trusting the starters? If I know who he's actually going with, who's getting the heavier minutes, it would be easier to bet this game. I have no interest in backing Golden State if it's this lineup of starters that he's had.
Yeah, we'll see. Look, another big part. We talked about the Clippers the other day, finally putting it together. I personally had my doubts that Kawhi would ever return after the multiple knee surgeries, would return to be the player. And all of a sudden we're seeing it. And that the great sign is we saw it on a back-to-back.
Nope.
He's not sitting out. He came back-to-back, and they crushed Sacramento with him having a monster game. And that tells me he's healthy. With that, I believe it's now 10-3 since Westbrook went to the bench. And that was the big thing. You couldn't have him and Harden on the court at the same time. So Westbrook mans up, and he says, I'll come off the bench. Clippers now 10-3 since then. But just when things are going beautiful, Paul George goes down in the last game. Is he playing tonight? That's going to be the big question mark. If he's in, if Paul George is in, I'm at like 7 or more with this game just because the home team, as Ben said, has dominated this series. Golden State on the downslide. No Dre Green here. A first unit that's in flux. Clippers putting it together. Is Paul George going to be in there? That's the question we'll answer later on tonight.
We'll see what goes on there with the injuries on this slate. Portland, Clippers, some big injuries there. Obviously, one of our bets is already there. We'll just see how much of an edge we end up with the Jaylen Brown information. Obviously, we want him to be ruled out, but still already a big enough edge on that game. Even if ruled in, we'll still have an edge on that number. Anthony Edwards, this is just one of those slates. A lot of key pieces, a lot of star players, a lot of guys that are going to move a line 3-4 points, either total one way or another. So I have to be on top of things. Like we said at the start, if you guys want to know that information as we get it, sign up on MassaEdge.com or download the Massa Edge app. Even last night when we were waiting on that Lakers LeBron info, LeBron gets ruled out, AD gets ruled in, comes up 2.5. We get it at 2.5. And even then, within 10 minutes, that line was already went 3 and then 3.5. And that was the edge on the game. Obviously, game lands 3.
And that's why you guys got to get down as soon as we get these notifications out there, because these lines are going to move, especially on injury games. I had talked about it yesterday right here. Pretty sure I said if LeBron and AD were in, we'd make this game 9. LeBron sat out. So LeBron right now, 4.5, 5 points to the line. That's what this guy is, as amazing as it sounds. So we got this 1 to 2.5. You've got to get in there as soon as we make the bets, guys. Those lines are going to move on the injury games, only going to move one way. So make sure you get them in quick. So that's it. Nice NBA schedule tonight. An ugly NFL Thursday night game, which it just seems they look through the schedule saying, okay, what's the worst matchup for Thursday night? Yep. And this one could be a replay of the Bear Panther game a few weeks back. But something tells me I'll be betting under. I'm already on the +3 small bets. Nothing crazy with these two ugly units. But yeah, let's hope for a nice low-scoring game and maybe edge one out over here in the football. But we got a big weekend of NFL. We're coming down to crunch time. A ton of 7-6 teams all fighting for the playoffs. Remember, we get some Saturday football this week. Mini Cincy, 2 teams 7-6, both fighting for playoffs. Pitt, Indy, 2 teams at 7-6, fighting for that AFC wild card. And Denver, another 7-6 team who actually has a shot to take the first from the Chiefs. Better start winning. Look, Chiefs got an easy game this week, although it looks against the Patriots. But, yeah, Denver also fighting for it, and the Lions, pretty much a foregone conclusion. They'll be in the playoffs. So a great Saturday of football. Everybody got things to play for. Now, that won't be the case on Sunday. You'll have some teams out of it, some teams playing for it. Top game we'll talk about, Atlanta Falcons they're too high. The line is too high for them on the road. This possibly could be without 4 of 5 starting linemen, yet they're a field goal favorite on the road to Carolina. Why? Carolina out of it. Atlanta in a must-win situation, and we'll see a lot of these games, and we'll talk more about them as we go along, Ben.
Yeah, the Chiefs catching maybe the break of the year in their last game of the season, which could decide the division. No Justin Herbert, and obviously the Chargers play them better than anyone in that division, so that could be the break for them. We'll see how those go. We'll see how this weekend goes. As we said, sign up. Big 5-1 night last night. Let's keep it rolling. And what'd you say yesterday, John? Because that worked out for us. How do we wrap that up? Let's win some games.
Let's win some games.
Let's win some games. That worked out for us.
And we'll stick with that.